Welcome to Alter Everything, a podcast about AI, analytics, and the future of work. I'm your host, Joshua Burkhow. Right now, everyone is racing to add AI skills to their resume. They're looking for the latest certifications, the latest training, the video that is going to give them that little nudge ahead that they're looking for. Whether the AI skill really truly matters or not. This is what I'm most worried about, is that there are so many folks that are not stopping to ask what truly is going to matter in the next age of AI, in the next 2, 3, 4 years. What tangible skills will really make the difference? Now, my next guest has built his entire career around answering this question. I'm joined by Jordan Morrow, whether he likes to admit it or not, widely known as the Godfather of Data Literacy. He's the SVP of Data and AI Transformation at AgileOne. He's a TEDx speaker. He's an author of numerous books on the topic of AI and data literacy, with his latest one called Data and AI Skills: Gain the Confidence You Need to Succeed. In this conversation, we get past all the buzzwords and into really what separates those people who thrive in an AI world from those people that are going to get left behind. We talk about which skills are becoming more valuable over the next few years, which ones are quietly becoming overrated, and why the biggest gap might not be a skills gap, it might be a confidence gap. Jordan, welcome to the show. Jordan, you're quite recognized in our world, especially on the topic of data literacy, which I know you're pretty passionate about.
Yeah.
Rumor is I heard you've claimed the title, or someone has called you the Godfather of Data Literacy. Is this true?
It is. I did not claim it, though. In fact, I have a hard time with it. Years ago, and the person who told me this, her name is Valerie Logan. She and I were kind of the voices who got all of it started back in 2016, 2017. And she was basically like, you know what they call you, right? I'm like, no, I'm just a nerd. Like, let me just do my thing. And she said, yeah, they call you the Godfather of Data Literacy. I'm like, whatever. No, I struggle with it, but it's out there.
So just a quick intro, if you don't mind. I see that you're a senior VP of Data and AI Transformation at AgileOne, but you want to fill in all the other stuff, Bodhi Data and that stuff?
Yeah. So in my day-to-day life, Senior Vice President, Data and AI at an organization called AgileOne. But I do own my own company, Bodhi Data, which is where I do all my book writing, my speaking, advisory stuff. All in all, man, just a big nerd. I love topics in data and AI. I love empowering everybody, not just data and AI professionals, hence where the whole world of literacy came from. And it's an exciting time to be alive, that's for sure.
Yeah, I can't get away from the fact that you put out a good number of books already. And
I've written 5, and I'm talking tomorrow, the day after we record this, with my editor to get book 6 going. So never did I imagine I'd love writing as much as I do.
I want to get into this. This is going to be just fun. You and I have sort of crossed paths in multiple ways, but I'm really huge on this idea as AI starts to roll out and become more prominent, that the human aspect to all these things.
Yeah.
I've had 3 or 4 guests on now who have all sort of touched on the sort of integration or the collaboration of human and AI as it comes out. But I haven't talked about the sort of data literacy landscape, and I'm really fascinated about it. I've come up through the ranks, and attribute a large portion of my success was just the knowing and having that data literacy. I went to school, but you don't really learn these things until you're in the trenches, and you get to do your rounds on these things. I'd love to get into this, and let's start off with this idea that there is enormous investment happening right now in AI. Everybody and their mother can see that. There's training programs, there's co-pilots, there's all these new tools, but yet many organizations are struggling with this sort of foundational things. And that I'm a huge advocate for the sort of first principles, getting to the foundation of that, because we all know if you learn Latin in school, you can go on to learn many different languages because there's so many aspects of other languages that are tied into that. And when we talk about these sort of sometimes taken as cliche things like data into decisions, or even just getting employees to actually trust and use the insights that they're given and building this culture, well, I'd really love to get your perspective here. Let's start off in that regard.
Yeah, like so many are talking about the human integration. In fact, one of the main keynotes that I give now is all about being human in the age of AI. What does that actually mean? I started pioneering data literacy back in 2016, which is for the 90 to 99% of people who are not data and AI professionals. How do you take your seat at the table? How do you get yourself comfortable using these things? And I remember when ChatGPT in November 2022 went live, right? GPT had been around for years, but ChatGPT to the masses went live and exploded, right? Fastest to 100 million or whatever users. I actually thought to myself that, am I now obsolete? Is data literacy obsolete? And I had a good friend of mine, Christina. She's like, no, it became more important. And I 100% agree with her at this point. Like when you look at the technology and people are talking about the integration of human and AI, but very little, I would argue, are doing much in reality around it. They think they are.
Totally agree.
But
totally agree.
So to me, this human aspect, I love, by the way, that you mentioned the term first principles. Anyone who doesn't understand what first principles thinking is, it's what every organization on the planet should be doing to build foundational data and AI. In fact, this book right there, it's called We Are As Gods. It's the number one book I recommend on AI at this point, and it dives into first principles thinking. And anyone who doesn't understand it, after this podcast, either pick this book up. I don't get any royalties. I should, but start to think this. So this human intersection, it's not AI versus human. It's AI plus human. And that's where my formula engineered intelligence comes into play. It's 2-part tech, data and AI, 2-part human, IQ and EQ. Right. And then I think one of the reasons companies are jumping on these things to buy technology and buy tools is it makes them feel good. I've accomplished something because I bought this tool, but you're not getting value from it. And so this integration of the human and literacy, it really is, how do we empower everyone to be confident and comfortable at their need to use data and AI to improve their situation? It's not bolting AI on top with a chatbot. It's fundamentally getting back to first principles, that root truth of everything. And if you do that, including how you upskill and reskill humans, organizations can thrive. But if you don't, you're just going to putter along like you always have.
Yeah, it is interesting to think about because, every software company that's trying to roll out their software, there's an aspect of training. Some are much easier. You get ChatGPT out to the masses and people just start using it, but there isn't a whole lot of consideration about, okay, do you actually understand the foundation? And the argument I get into, more often than not is like, I know how to click the buttons. I know how to go to settings. I know how to configure, but they don't have the sort of subject matter behind it that actually makes that valuable, that turns it into where you can make decisions. So I spent a good number of years at a little tiny shoe company. Most people don't know it's Nike, very, really small place. But I used to be in global supply chain, and I used to work for the head of global supply chain, and he was notorious for his ability to understand the numbers. And I used to build him, the team that I was on, we used to build him this 200 to 300 slide deck that he would have printed out and bound every month. And he would go through and damn near memorize this thing. But my point in all this was I got to see what the sort of peak of understanding what data is. He wasn't like, the hyper technical. He was decent, like he could hold his own. But the thing that really just blew people away, he would get in a supply chain review, a meeting, and he could quote numbers and understand the relationships between these by understanding all these sort of elements of what got him there to that
Yeah.
outcome. And I think this is, I also don't think it's necessary to go overboard, but there is this sort of realization that when you see how it is done well, you start to have another level of appreciation for it. Do you think that's a problem? Is that people don't really see the tangibleness of what data literacy means to organizations?
Yeah, well, and I think it boils down to, in one degree, we're too distracted.
Very.
100%, we are too distracted. I mean, if we were to take a survey of everyone who listens to this episode over the months and years and say, how many of you do not have a busy job in life? I would argue no one would tell us that they don't have a busy job or life.
Yeah.
But does busyness equate to effectiveness? And I think that is something that is missing. That person that was in charge of supply chain had probably studied for years, didn't happen overnight. He had grown to learn these things. And we as humans get so distracted with the magician showing you what's in this hand. The fundamental things that we should be doing aren't happening. Like buying a tool is the magician showing you this, when in reality, are you getting your data right, the skills right, all that? And part of it is, in fairness, there are very good data literacy detectives on this planet. And you know who it is? It's children. Children are natural. I've got 5 kids. You've got kids. They are naturally figuring every freaking thing out. They ask a million questions. We become adults, and what happens? We get caught in the rat race. Go do your job, build your dashboard, supply this, do that. When was the last time? Right before our call, I meditated. Right this morning, I read. This morning, I journaled. Before the day got ahead of me, it was personal, deep focus for me to be able to succeed. When was the last time someone closed their laptop, put their phone away for an hour, and just wrote notes on ideas around problems? They don't do that. But do you know how much value would come from that? And then the other side of being busy is, I think we sell ourselves short on data literacy. Here's my smartphone. Next week, I'm traveling over to England to speak at an event. I will check the weather app to know what to pack weather-wise. That's data literacy, 100%. And that supply chain leader you had, you remember my formula, engineered intelligence, 2-part tech. You were providing the data and the tech to him. His IQ and his EQ would kick in because he could connect things together. When 90 to 99% of us do not go to school for this, you mentioned you could teach someone where to point and click in a dashboard. Does that teach them how to connect it to strategy, business problems, and value? That has been going on for years with data. It is now going on with AI until companies really assert this ability to study and learn foundationally, first principles, read. And by the way, AI is amazing because it can help us build everything from the ground up. It's amazing. It doesn't take much time, but we're just bolting it on, doing the same old. If we're getting more efficient at doing stupid crap, we're just doing stupid crap more efficiently. So I encourage everybody, shut things down for an hour a day. You might not think you have the time, but I would argue you can't afford to not do it.
Yeah, it's so true. When you get into organizations and you talk to leaders, is it a skill issue on top of that? Is it, a confidence thing? Like, what is the precursor to the distraction?
I agree. Busyness helps people feel like they're effective.
Yeah.
You and I both know that's not the case. It is a confidence issue, right? It is a skill issue. We fear what we don't know. There's intimidation because maybe they think they need to be AI engineers. And that's the whole world of data literacy came about because not everyone needs to be a data scientist. You just need to have confidence in using data to make better decisions. So there's fear, intimidation, mindset, confidence. What's so funny about everything we're describing? Yes, we know you need good technical data for AI to thrive. Majority of your success is based on the humans actually being confident enough to use it and deliver value. That does not come because the data's right. That becomes you got the foundation right in the person. Then they can seek to go do better with it. And they will know the data's not right when it hallucinates too much or when it does this or when it does that. It's the human through and through. So I'm happy people are talking about it, but they need to go the next step forward. They're not talking about or doing. There's talk and there's action. Do more with it.
I watched this video from Andre Karpathy just recently, who, if you haven't been watching him, he's phenomenal. He's got such a down to earth way to explain it. He's absolute genius. But he was sharing his own experience in getting into AI, specifically around the sort of anxiety that he has now. And I'm sort of juxtaposing the human elements that we all show up to work with and all have, along with someone who, like Andre, he's PhD, he's been doing this AI deep research for 20 years. He knows his stuff, and yet even himself has shown that he has anxiety all the time. He got one thread going and he's like, okay, am I productive? Can I do more? And it's this sort of, it's the distraction, it's the sort of anxiety, it's the confidence. All of these things are tangible. Like they're part of this whole landscape.
I love what you're getting at. And this goes back to shutting things off. There's a great book out there by Johan Hari called Stolen Focus. And so many people are worried about our minds going to mush from AI. The reality is it started with social media. They hijacked our brains and our dopamine. Our attention spans are shorter. So there's this, what you were just describing from him, this anxiety induced feeling. Could I be doing more? What should I be doing here? What should I be doing there? It's first principles thinking. First principles thinking for humans is what makes us human: being in nature, connecting with others, doing things of that sort, learning, studying. That makes us human, can get rid of the anxiety induced feelings. Like imagine just going out on a Saturday night. You're not talking AI. You're not doing social media. You're not doing any of that. You're with a few people, maybe having a couple pints, getting some food, and you're just shooting the breeze. No one's on their phone. Do you feel anxiety from that? No, you probably feel fulfilled. And it's because you got back to a first principle around humans with evolution. Oh, I have Darwin's Origin of Species behind me, right? It's what makes us human. And it's so funny because people are like, well, AI this, AI that, and I get it. But what makes us human makes us better with AI. And sometimes, and I've told my employees this, they know this. If I hear them on a Friday say, man, what a busy week, I tell them, shut down early and go enjoy your weekend. Some people would sit there and say, really? But that's wasted hours. It's actually not. Because if I burn my employees through the ground, they're done in the future. So there is a balance, and I think we lose sight. I always need to be doing something. That's not confidence. That's busyness, coming back to that. And the greatest minds on the planet. We talked about Jeffrey Hinton, right? Nobel Prize winning Godfather of AI is drastically worried about it. That should tell you something. Mustafa Suleyman, founder of DeepMind, Microsoft AI CEO, deeply worried about it. Last week, you just had companies coming out like Anthropic saying, yeah, the biohacking that AI is allowing isn't good. No kidding, right? Yeah. So instead of just marching forward, this is why in my formula, of the 4 characteristics in my formula, data plus AI plus IQ, the 4th is the most important. That is EQ, and that is emotional intelligence. What is your self-awareness? And what is your awareness of your employees? Sometimes just tell them to take a day off because you can hear the stress in their voice. Go off and do something. Go grab lunch if you're in person. Have an hour-long Zoom video game of some kind, because the human side is being forgotten, even though people are talking about it. This is why I emphasize they need to be doing more.
I want to get into this next piece, and then I might come back to this, and because I'd like to chew on a little bit, but most conversations about AI and skills focus on the more direct thing that AI will replace. However, nothing gets me more bent out of shape when I hear, especially senior execs, but directors even saying, "Oh yeah, we're replacing our entire software stack or most of our software stack with AI," and I'm just like, "Don't do that." Like,
don't do it.
That's not.
Companies have had to backtrack.
They like predictable now. I've seen it happen so often now where they're sort of throw caution to the wind. I sort of tell them, like, you do realize you're throwing the baby out with the bathwater. This is that problem, is that you're getting too fast. And now that I got you here, I'm starting to think, do you consider that sort of challenge a lack of literacy and understanding of AI and all this?
100%.
Is that, help me understand better that.
100%. Jensen Huang, NVIDIA, last week ripped companies who were letting people go for the reason of AI. Sam Altman came out and was like, yeah, I'm not sure the job apocalypse is going to happen. It's 1000% senior executives' literacy that needs to upgrade if they think I'm just going to get rid of people and replace it with AI. Now, there's no doubt that when industrial revolutions occur, jobs get lost.
Right.
Jobs get created, right?
Yeah.
We're watching now token economics versus human economics. And what are we noticing? Tokenization's more expensive than humans. We're not at a commodity point yet where it's the race to the bottom of price. It's going to get there. But instead of thinking, who do I let go? I would look at work itself. Like my current day job boss is Brian Clark, president of AgileOne. He calls it, where can we replace soul-sucking work with AI? And then release people's creativity to do more. It is fundamentally improper of leadership to say, we're going to let go of 10% of staff to invest in AI. Well, first off, maybe before letting anybody go, double check your data's even ready for it. Just throw that out.
Most of the time it's not, right?
Most of the time it's not. And this is across any company. I don't care.
Yeah.
It is fundamentally flawed to think we're just going to replace. Like, we're on the internet right now, different parts of the world, recording a podcast. When the internet came along, it burst at one point, but did the power of it leave? No. Did jobs get shifted? Yes. We don't have lamp lighters anymore. We have electrical lamps. We don't necessarily have a ton of horse and buggies. We have cars. Things evolve. So instead of companies saying, we're going to let people go because we're doing AI, I would like to hear them say, we are investing more in humans because we have AI. Right. That's the answer to it. If you do that right, my goodness, can you thrive? Absolutely thrive.
Yeah. I think the piece that I just throw my personal opinion in that is, we've had companies doing layoffs and letting people go for 100 years in business. But I think the ease of the chaos of what AI is providing is really concerning. And I think I liken our CEO who's, he sort of had such a beautiful way of putting it. He's like, hey, I expect the humans in this company will become more productive. And if they become more productive, then we don't have to necessarily grow in human capacity, which is what happens a lot of times. They hire more people than the company can sustain in the future. And then, of course, you got to let them go. But it's this sort of mindset that I keep coming back to, is like having people really understand the fundamentals of technology, how technology cycles of it all. We talk about the hype cycle ad nauseum.
Yep.
And it's pretty damn predictive. Like, it's pretty close to
we're seeing it happen with AI right now.
Play out. And it's I also had to get this one in. I have this new theory that I watch for when I talk to people and I go into organizations. And the cliche is an aha moment. Like, oh, you got to have an aha moment. I call it the OSHIT moment, but I think you have to have two of them. You have the first one where you realize that AI is way more powerful than you had conceptualized, right? And a lot of people just have a very visceral sort of feeling like, yeah, I had that moment when I opened up Cowork or a Claude Code and built an app in like a minute or 5 minutes. And they're like, holy crap. Then I'm finding that there's a cadre of us who have gotten to this sort of second oh shoot moment, where it is the moment when you realize that AI can't do everything, that AI can't do all the things that you will see on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And so there's sort of sanity comes back to the human, and the human's like, oh, I should probably figure out how to use this most effectively if it's not, going to take over absolutely everything. So let's get into the weeds a little bit if you want. Where do you think, I'm Johnny Newbie, I'm new to an organization, they're rolling out AI. Where's the biggest bang for the buck? Where would you say, hey, Johnny, you need to focus on this area first? If I want to be a sort of literacy guru, or at least get on that path of consistent action. Where do I start? Where would you go?
So for years, I've had my 3 C's of data literacy, and I think they're more important now than ever. And I'm going to focus on one. The 3 C's are curiosity, creativity, critical thinking. We're going to focus on curiosity because children, I call them the best data literacy detectives on the planet. They're always asking questions. If I do this, this happens. If I do that, that happens. What causes this? What causes that? If you want to master AI literacy, ask questions and ask them very, very well. Because everything you just described can boil down to a question. What is a transformer model? How does a frontier model work? Why is an LLM different than just standard machine learning if we're just building predictive analytics? But fostering your curiosity masters it, because then you can get into creativity. And the 3rd C is critical thinking. AI is probabilistic. It's very good with data. You know what is worse with data than AI? Humans. And it's not even close. AI is better than we are, but we get to blame a machine if we're blaming the AI, right? But ask questions through and through. And you might be like, well, I don't know what question to start with. Ask AI that. Say, I want to get really good at asking questions, so I'm better with you at AI. What questions should I be asking you? And just watch what it does. It'll teach you. But if you want to be excellent at anything data and AI, start really honing in your question asking. And then it goes one step further, and that is, how do you apply the learning you get? You do those 2 things, you'll learn everything you just described. You can just take off. But it boils down to that fundamental thing of just asking why. That's it. The one thing I will say, going back a couple questions to the literacy of leaders, not only do you have to allow people in your company the ability to ask questions, you have to create safety for them, that they don't feel like if they ask a question, they're going to get in trouble for it. You have to create an environment where that just thrives. Because if a person feels like, I ask a question, it doesn't go the way I want, I'll be punished, your culture is wrong.
You're shut down.
It is a horrible culture. You're done. You've lost the business. So that's where I would piggyback. Allow questions everywhere. Even if you don't think it's a good question, allow it everywhere and allow people to thrive with it.
I think this is just a huge insight for people, is that the onslaught of AI has created an environment where not only is everybody level set, there's very few original, 20-year experts, even 10-year experts in AI. So the ground has been leveled. And now if you have an organization that you can't ask questions to learn when that is the most demanded thing, then don't expect your company to make a whole lot of progress and move forward, right? It's almost ludicrous to consider it.
Yeah. The fact that, I love what you just said, majority of people, even those who call themselves AI experts, don't have decades of experience. They just don't. So businesses, if you're sitting here saying to yourself, well, I don't need to do this, or we're just going to keep our culture the same, not with AI, you're not. Because what's really interesting to watch with companies right now, if I'm a company, a long-standing company, I don't worry about my competitors. You know what I worry about? Startups. Because startups that get this right from the ground up, who are AI native from the ground up, not bolting on features, they're the ones to worry about, because their cultures, everything, are going to thrive. And they're just going to blow past you because of the capability AI brings. That's why companies, back to first principles, should be scraping everything down to the bottom and saying, do we even need to do this anymore? If not, what do we put in its place, and allow creativity to thrive with AI?
Yeah. Love it. I love it. I always worry that I would go down random rabbit holes, but like I'm getting this overall sense like all this stuff is connected, that
100%.
the culture of a company is tied to success with AI, it's tied to literacy, tied to the idea of getting to first principles and seeing things much more clearly, the human aspect.
I do worry, write about this in my 5th book. I worry that we don't do mental workouts anymore. We don't. Like, journaling is a mental workout. Reading is a mental workout. I like poetry. I write it and I read it, right? Just had another book. It's right next to me. Arrived in the mail yesterday, a poetry book, so that my brain gets a workout. If you're not doing that and you just turn it, like, again, I don't think AI started this. It's just making it worse. Social media, I think, started this. We do, and everybody does it. I doom scroll. Everybody does from time to time. But if we are not counteracting that by writing, reading, if we're not working out, we're in big trouble. And this is actually, I'm going to bring in the whole world of data storytelling and AI storytelling right here. Our brains are designed for it. And my favorite business book on the planet is Creativity Inc., which is the story of Pixar Animation Studios. You want to talk about a business that has kept the culture, the creativity, the human aspect all over. You need to be working out your mental muscles, just like if you, going back to consistency, if you work out for 3 weeks and miss 6 months straight, you're not having the dream body. If you think you can work your brain out for 3 weeks and then do nothing for 6 months, it's not going to happen. You've got to be consistent. You've got to do stuff.
I think this is the part that probably irks me the most, is that we forget that why we're doing technology in the first place, why we're doing AI in the first place, and it's to make our lives better.
Tools have become this essential thing, but they aren't the thing. And so for me, again, I spoke in Peru and Brazil in March. Being Human in the Age of AI. I am in England next week, the closing keynote of the event, Being Human in the Age of AI. And by the way, when 90 to 99% of people are not AI professionals and have fear, fatigue, and overwhelm, when you start talking to them that you matter and that the human matters, they start to get excited. So any leader who listens to this podcast, talk more about the human versus the tech, you're going to get your culture and your people more on board than if you had bought a tool and said, this is our solution.
I think that's the piece that gives me the most hope and the most sort of underlying inspiration, is that I think there is a wave of us who see that light. They see that the idea that AI is not something in and of itself. It's not AI, it's human and AI. They're listening. They're opening their ears. They're like, okay, well, maybe there's something to be said about this that is tangible, that has some impact to things.
And that is like when we think about the internet, at one point it was probably humans versus the internet. Now it is synonymous with your life. I was a holdout on a smartphone. I eventually got one. Now you can't imagine your life without it, for good or bad.
Yeah.
Where I think this is where literacy really picks up with AI, though, is people understood probably the internet better than they understand AI. People understood smartphones better than they understand AI. This is why I'm not telling people that they have to become as nerdy as you and me. Just go study. What does a large language model do? Well, it's dissecting all of us, right? It's a mirror of who we, okay, so I can get a little bit of understanding. Okay, how do I apply that? So just like the internet is synonymous with our lives, smartphones, cars, everything, AI should become synonymous with your life where it is appropriate to fit in. Don't make it the end all be all. Help you achieve your end all be all because it's a tool you can use. So that's what I would tell people, is it's just going to be a part of us. Make it be a part of you in an effective way so you're not superseded by it.
Love it. All right. So, Jordan, we're getting up here at time, and usually end these podcasts with a lightning round because I like to sort of get into the head and off the cuff of what people are thinking. So I'm going to pummel you with just a handful of questions if you're up for it.
Absolutely.
All right. Most overrated data or AI skill right now? Most overrated.
Oh my gosh. Most overrated, proficiency in a tool.
Ooh.
Because proficiency in a tool does not mean you're bringing value from the tool. I can point and click in a dashboard, doesn't mean I know what to do with it.
All right. Most underrated.
Curiosity. Asking good questions.
Well done. One thing every organization should stop doing immediately.
Buying tools as a strategy.
Bless you. It's just like, I just wish I'm going to record this, put it on my phone. And anytime somebody says, hey, I bought a new tool, I'll be like, listen to Jordan. Here's how it works. Skill gap or confidence gap, which one is bigger, more important?
I think more important is confidence. The bigger gap is skills. Confidence allows you to close the skills gap, but I do think the discrepancy between them is bigger but a lot of people do lack too much confidence.
Got it. One human capability that becomes non-negotiable within, I initially put the next 5 years, but feel free to put next year, 3, 5, whatever. One human capability that becomes
I
non-negotiable.
keep saying curiosity. That will not go away, but I'm going to bring another one in, and that is critical thinking. And we
Critical
talked about
thinking.
in the episode, we can't turn everything over to AI or our brain is going to become a puddle of mush. We have to critically think on not just AI, but on what people are saying, what social media and the algorithm gives us. Question, that's curiosity, but question everything. Critically think on it.
That's right. All right. Last one. If you could give every data professional, aka AI professional, one book beside your own, what would it be?
We Are as Gods.
We Are as
So
Gods.
Peter Diamandis and Stephen Kotler, if you listen to this, and I'll probably tag you, just send me a gift card or a signed copy. The reason is I think it does a very good job of talking about first principles thinking, and number two, helping us get into a flow state, i.e. that state where the human's creativity can thrive with AI. But that would be number one. Can I say number two? 1B would be Karen Howell's, it's right there, Empire of AI, which is the story.
I get that one. That's a great one. Yeah. This is actually the one that I'll interject here is anything on the history of AI is going to be great because you realize that this didn't get invented when ChatGPT came out.
1956.
Right.
I asked that when I speak. 1956 is when the term was coined at Dartmouth University. 1956.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, think about that. Like people have no clue that like this technology came yesterday. I liken it to the data warehousing industry, which I sort of started into. That was, 20 years in the making before I even got started into it. And it's been around. And now look, you got the Databricks and the Snowflakes of the world that are, have the lake houses. All that stuff was not built yesterday,
Well, it's like data literacy. The field I help invent, the principles are reading, working with, analyzing, communicating with data. That's been around millennia. That cat eats me, that cat doesn't. That berry kills me, that one doesn't. You're just reading data and then communicating with people. That's right. We just put it into a bucket that help people thrive with it. And so a lot of these principles are similar. It's like the hype cycle. It just keeps coming. Coming.
All right, buddy, we're at the end. Any last thoughts? Anything that sort of been chugging in your mind through our conversation that you'd like to throw in?
Man, you and I could keep chatting forever. What I would tell people who listen to this, because I have a big audience that aren't going to be the professional side, is always remember everyone has a seat at the table. That's it. Like everybody. But just because you sit at a table with a buffet in front of you, you still have to do the work to eat. It doesn't jump into your mouth. Same thing here. You have a seat at the table. Just take some time, 15, 30 minutes a day, study, do your work.
Yeah. Love it so much. Jordan, thank you so much. I appreciate you. It's a great conversation with you, and hope I get to run into you soon enough.
Absolutely. And as my long lost brother, as we look alike, right arm tatted, beard, bald.
Yeah. I just need I need to write 4 more books just to catch up.
Yes. Yes.
That's it. Thanks. That's no anxiety or pressure right there. Good. Take care, bud. That's it for this episode of Alter Everything. Much appreciate you, Jordan, for coming on the show. If there's one thing to carry out of this, it's this. The future won't belong to those who know the most tools. It's going to belong to the people who can turn data literacy, AI literacy, communication, and judgment into better decisions. Now, if you want to go deeper, pick up Jordan's latest book, Data and AI Skills. To learn more about what we covered, just simply go over to alteryx.com/podcast to check out the show notes. If you got something out of this episode today, please leave us a review, share it with anyone who you think needs to hear it. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere else podcasts are played. Until then, see you the next time.